Hello, Uggies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today we're going to talk about something an Augie sent to me as a Morse code trainer. He has taken the Koch method and also set it up with Farnsworth. These are classical Morse code training techniques. But he has something that is a little different on this. This is the operating aid right here, and it is available from SparkGap Labs. There will be a URL in the text below. And this is pretty cool. I checked it out, and it will do, like I said, the Koch method, so you can do 2 letters at a time to start with. And then it introduces 1 more letter at a time till it gets up to the entire 40, okay, that the Koch method covers. Now, what's also interesting, you can plug a key in here, either a key or paddles, and use it to send Morse code to the device. Now, as I've said many times, machine decoding of hand-sent Morse code is a hard problem. So you will have to work hard to get your code just right so that this thing will decipher it properly. And by the time you've done that with all of the letters and numbers and punctuation marks in the code, you're going to have a sending technique, often called a fist, that is very easy to copy. So let's take a look at every feature in this and see what we like. Okay. Before I do that, I want to pay a special thank you to a patron, a new patron, Bob. That's right, just Bob. He is a new patron on patreon.com. You too can become a patron of this channel and help keep the lights on by going to patreon.com/KE0OG. Now let's jump into looking at this little Morse code training aid. Okay, let's look at the MCT-73. It's a new product put out by a new company, SparkGap Labs. Okay, and it is available at that address here, SparkGap Labs. It's from Brian Stevens, KC1QIR in Marblehead, Massachusetts. SparkGap Labs puts this thing out. This is really cool because it not only helps you train your listening speed, but also your sending speed. It's got a place here for headphones, also a place for a key or keyer. Okay, so you can work both ways. The idea is that you send into it and you can see how it interprets it, and you can keep improving your code quality until it gets better. Now, there are a couple combined methods here. Lots of people have asked me how to learn Morse code, how best to learn Morse code. For years, I've used the old ARRL, Learning the Radio Telegraph Code Manual, which is 100 years old. And there are better methods for doing that. And these are covered in Wikipedia. This is a Wikipedia article. I just copied this straight out of there. It's talking about learning methods for Morse code. People learning Morse code using the Farnsworth method. Okay, that's the key word right there, Farnsworth, are taught to send and receive letters and other symbols at their full target speed. Now, the idea of this is that if you put a lot of space in between the letters, people get used to the soundscape of the letters rather than trying to memorize them by dots and dashes. Okay, because the worst method for remembering is to go, okay, that was a dot followed by a dash, that's the letter A. You need to go dot right to A and remember that. So normal relative timing of the dots and spaces within each symbol for that speed. So you got two speeds going here. One for the actual sending, and then you stretch out the spacing between them so that the spacing is longer, so that your actual achieved speed is something else entirely. Like you could send at 20 words a minute, but receive at 10 words a minute. Farnsworth method is named for Donald Russ Farnsworth, also known by his call sign. This gives thinking time. This is a very common method for teaching Morse code. One of the problems with this is that if you use this on the air and you send a character at 20 words a minute and then expect the other person to wait for a while, they may not know how to do that. I find that I have to go in at a lower code speed for that, but this is a great way of learning it. Now, this other method is also incorporated in this. Another popular teaching method is the Koch method, invented in 1935 by the German engineer and former stormtrooper Ludwig Koch. This I question. A stormtrooper is a World War II name. That's something that came up in World War II. And 1935 was before World War II. So he was, would have had to have been in World War I. Which uses the full target speed from the outset, but begins with just two characters. Once strings containing those two characters can be copied with 90% accuracy, an additional character is added, and so on until the full set is mastered. And in the Koch method, there are 40. So you've got 26 plus 10 numerals, plus, let's see, that's 36. So four additional characters like period, comma, stuff like that. Okay. Now, this goes on to point that the ARRL puts out code practice every day, multiple times a day, from W1AW. I can pick it up easily here in Colorado. And the United States Navy, which only, it says military here, they're teaching a very small number of people how to catch Morse code as an 81-day self-paced course. The only reason I can think for that, it doesn't take 81 days for a motivated young person to learn the Morse code. However, you got to get it up to about 25 words a minute, and they're going to teach you other characters. You might specialize in the Japanese or Chinese characters, or in the European ones, which have the umlauts and the accents and so on and so forth. And so you can use methods like this to do that very quickly. So let's look at this here. We've got this unit. Okay, here we go. Now, push down this button here. Okay, words per minute 20 with 10 character mode training, select. And how many characters do you want? If you go to the left here, all the way back to level 1, which takes, you've got to keep track of where you are. The machine, I don't think, keeps track for you. Okay, we'll take the first one, it's K and M, and then we tell it to go. And, oh, 3, 2, MK, K, K, M. So you see, it gives you a few characters at a time. Okay, and you can keep going or do a select training. Now you got K and M if you go, so it does keep track for you. We'll add R. Okay, now there's going to be 3 letters. K, M, R. So it gives you a line at a time, and then you can have it go ahead and do it again. Well, that was a lot of buttons to push. Let's see if we can do it more simply. See how it just gives you the 3 to work with. By the way, the order in which these letters are introduced is fixed. Okay, let's do it right. And 3, 2, 1, and we get more. Okay, now this is putting each letter at 20 words a minute, but spacing them as though it were 10. Okay, which is a good idea. Okay, we're going to go back up here, and training, that was that mode. Free play, okay, where you can get, let's see what happens. Oh, start keying. Okay. We'll attach a key to the keyer. We may have to, yeah, we're going to have to set this up. Let's see, I've got my paddles. Where are my paddles? Where are my paddles? I don't see them. Well, we'll just have to go into this thing. Okay. And it's got training, free play, settings, volume, pitch, words per minute, word added, character delay, keyer mode, select, and we can go ambient B, straight key, select, and keep going, back, settings, okay, we're going to go to boy, it takes a little while to get used to this, doesn't it? No, that's not what I want to do. Choose mode, settings, free play. Okay, let's see what happens when we try this. Okay, we'll put that up there. This down here. No, it does not have a side tone. Okay, let's try. Well, that didn't work very well. Okay, so this is, I think, a real value add here. You can key into it, and if the thing can recognize your keying, then you are sending properly. If you go something like that, now that was a long dit and a short da, and it came out as M. Okay, so this will make you get your speed good enough. Okay. Aha. See, now that was supposed to be an H. Okay. Okay, so you can learn your code that way. So when you learn the code, you've got full control over the Koch method, where it will send, it starts out with 2 characters and then gets all the way up to 40. And it will help you do that, or when you are satisfied, you can go to the next level. It adds 1 more. Then you keep going, and it's sending them at pretty fast. And you can slow that down in here by setting the character speed down. So this is a good way to learn that. and it's very patient with you. And what I think is really helpful about this is the idea here of you can send into it, and it will try to interpret your keying. And that's extremely important for those who want to learn to send readable code. I will admit that in my novice days, there were people whose code I could barely read because it was just terrible. At the time, they were only testing on receiving code, not sending code. And they thought, well, anybody can learn to send code. Now, one thing that I will tell you is that you will learn to send code faster than you will learn to receive it. Now, so let's just go through the whole menu here. It times out if you're not using it for a while. And you can change the length of time that it will do that. Training, free play, settings, and then you got to go back, free play, and training. Okay, now if we want to choose the mode, you can go like this. Okay, and then the level, left and right. Here, level 2, we're adding the letter R. Let's try going quite a ways up here. And by the way, it puts in numerals at different places. Let's just go select it and then select that. And now decode by ear. Here it goes. Okay, now, the thing to understand about this is if that's too fast for you, you go into settings, and let's go back. I'm sure there's a way to do this without turning it off. I did read the instruction manual, but okay, training, free play, and settings, and we'll select that. We've got volume, pitch. Now the pitch is number of hertz that you use here. Select 500 hertz. A lot of people use 500 hertz, but you can go up I actually use 700 hertz sometimes on my radio, but 500 is nice and comfortable. Now there is a very interesting trend. It used to be when I first got into ham radio, 1,000 hertz was the standard side tone. That has gradually dropped with time. Okay, so we're going to go settings, pitch, words per minute. Now, this is the actual character. Da-da-da-da is the speed, and then there is add character delay. This is for the Farnsworth setting. Okay, the keyer mode we looked at. The paddle setup, how to set it up, whether it's left or right on the paddle. The sleep delay, how long that takes. There's a reset everything back to factory settings and an exit. Okay, and that takes you back to training where you began. Now, the thing is run by a 9-volt battery, and you just unscrew these to get to the battery. They're designed to be just simply little thumb screws that you can put on with minimal effort, and don't tighten them, especially don't use a tool, because you are going to have to change the battery from time to time. There is no separate power entrance, for example, to use 12 volts or something like that. you have to use the battery. Now this pulls the whole thing out. Got a nice case there. This is what's inside. You can get this as a kit. It's all through-hole components, okay? There are no surface mount components on here, and a 9-volt battery, okay? Now, for the 9-volt battery, that's why you want this thing to shut itself off, but I would urge you to notice that if you wait for the thing to go off, it's still taking a little bit of power. So you want to actually turn it off so you don't run that 9-volt battery down. Note also, if you threw this in a case, it could hit that button and do that. Okay, this is a beautiful little case. This is serial number 3 from SparkGap Labs, made in Massachusetts, USA. Okay, so a simple kit if you want to do the kit, or you can get it pre-made. I got this one pre-made. So that about covers what this thing can do. I must say I'm impressed. Now, what I want to look at is the price for this versus the price for the MFJ equivalent. Okay, MFJ has an equivalent. Okay, so there you go. Now, the question is, do I recommend this over the MFJ, which costs the same amount? Actually, I would recommend, if you can, put the kit together yourself. Save half the price, $75. Putting the kit together, it's all through-hole parts. Pretty straightforward, lots of room on the board to put parts, and save quite a bit. The MFJ does not have the Koch method, okay? So that is a major drawback. As far as I can see, I've looked through all the specs. Now, it will do essentially everything this does, plus a number of other little features that are different methods for learning the Morse code. I actually recommend the Koch method and the not only the Koch method, but the Farnsworth method and so on. I think this is worth the $150 if you want to spend it. Now, it does not come with a key. You will need your own key. The key that you can look at the recommended key, or just any key. You have to tell it what kind of key. There's iambic A and iambic B, and I would recommend just starting with iambic B. It's easier. And then you can do straight key, which is just an ordinary Morse key. Now, the iambic keying is going to be easier for this to recognize. So maybe you ought to start with the straight key and work on this, because then you'll really start to get your timing right. Okay, now it's quite forgiving of the timing, but it won't tell you what you've sent unless you send it well enough for it to receive. So, there you have it. If you'd like to find out more about this, go to SparkGap Labs. The link is in the text below this. It was also in the video a couple times. And I really think that what our Augie here has put together, Brian Stevens, KC1 QIR, in Marblehead, Massachusetts, has put together something really cool. If you would like to help support this channel financially, you can certainly do so. It helps us keep the lights on, keep the assistant paid, all of that kind of thing. And I do treat it all as income. I do pay taxes on everything. I'm very careful about that, and even for cash additions to the channel funds. And you can go to dcastler.com/support. Pick a way that works for you. Please subscribe. A lot of people who watch haven't. It doesn't cause any issues for you. It just adds your vote of confidence to YouTube that this is something worth doing. Also, please like, and after you've subscribed, if you want notifications, you can click on the bell. So, until we next meet, 73.